Deviants, welcome to show. I am the Clintoris, and I am here with...
I'm the Devo Slack.
And the Guch.
And we are the Social Deviants. And we are here today to talk about the most storied franchise in sci-fi history.
Starship Troopers.
Star Trek.
Fifth Element.
Valerian.
I haven't finished that yet. I got to finish that.
It's fantastic.
Is it? All right,
Yes.
well. All right.
No, we're here to talk about the Skywalker saga, Star Wars. And I think this is the first time we've talked about Star Wars? No, we talked about Star Killer.
Well, it was a Star Wars episode where we talked about Star Killer and his abilities in the Force. Based on the game Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
So what kind of movie is this anyway? So it's about the Force and hell.
Yeah, I don't know.
What the hell's a Jawa?
And we obviously everyone knows by now. Last Jedi's out. Came out a couple weeks ago.
December 16th,
2007. About a month ago.
17.
And I think that this has been one of the most divisive films that they've released, just in terms of. And it's strange because it's the opposite way. Most times when films are divisive, you get a film that the critics malign, but the fans. Love, or at least a large portion of fans love, which is actually the opposite. Where this movie is almost universally critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
Yet the fans are very divided, and it's gotten this weird Rotten Tomatoes low rating, and people were trying to say it was hackers, but no, it's actually legit.
Really?
Yeah, it's only 50% rated amongst the fans on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Yeah, somebody came out and said it was a bunch of bots.
Yeah.
And I forgot. I don't know if it was Rotten Tomatoes or what, but I was like, oh, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it didn't change. It's oh, well, maybe it's not.
People making petitions for him to recut the movie and all this crazy
well,
stuff
I mean, the director...
Mark Hamill coming out and saying...
Well, the director himself has to make explanations. I mean, if you have to explain so much of your movie to the fans, he's every week, for 5 weeks, after the release of the movie, he had to explain why he did something.
That sucks.
And that alone gives you a hit and a half, for your ass that it's something bad about the movie,
So let's get into it then. Okay, so my first thought in coming into the movie was that there was a bunch of questions that Episode 7 had seemed to deliberately leave unanswered.
Okay.
And you would think going into the next movie, and maybe you're not going to get all the answers in the next movie, but you would think you would get most of them by the end of the trilogy. And I feel not only did we get probably more answers than we maybe anticipated, but some of the answers that we got really made some of the stuff that happened in Episode 7 seem so insignificant in a lot of ways.
Not only that, but a lot of the answers that we got weren't necessarily answers because they just posed larger questions.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that one of the ones that for me, and I think we can start off by talking about this, is Supreme Leader Snoke, and that he was made out to be this Emperor Palpatine-ish type character, and have that sort of, but then he
ended up just being a joke.
Yeah, but,
I don't understand.
And at this point, anyone that's going to complain about spoilers, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, you should have watched it by now.
Go to hell, because if you haven't seen the movie by now, first of all, you're not a real geek, and second of all, fuck you, because you didn't watch the movie. Yeah. So it's your problem.
Just come out with it, right?
Yeah, seriously, just go watch it, dude.
Wow.
Anyways.
So, Emperor Snoke gets killed. It's kind of stupid
Supreme
the way
Leader
it actually.
Snoke.
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah, get that right, fool.
Gets
Geek.
Snoke. And he gets killed, and it's kind of stupid how it happens.
I thought it was awesome.
Let me get this straight. So this guy has this huge plan to sort of rule the universe, but yet he doesn't notice that Kylo Ren is using the Force to move the lightsaber.
I thought it was cool how he died. I thought it was dumb that he died so soon. I mean, it was cool the way that Kylo Ren did it.
Yes.
Mind you.
But that doesn't seem realistic.
Why did he have to do it?
But that's the thing is, if you listen to what Snoke is saying beforehand, he's saying that he cannot be betrayed. He knows every thought that his apprentice has. So that means at that point, Snoke is looking into Kylo Ren's mind. Kylo Ren is masking what he's doing by envisioning the death of Rey, by turning his lightsaber. He's actually doing the physical act of turning his lightsaber, pointing it at Rey, while behind he's being sneaky and turning Rey's lightsaber to point at Snoke. Snoke sees that Kylo Ren's going to ignite his lightsaber and kill his true enemy. When he does that, it's not Rey. He kills Snoke. But to me, that shows Kylo Ren's strength in the Force. He was able to mask his true feelings.
I agree that it was an interesting and it was a good way of showing Kylo Ren's power, because obviously he's a Skywalker, right? But I mean, you have a guy, right? Snoke, I'm talking about, that obviously has consolidated some of the Empire's old power into a vast force that so easily destroyed the Republic that's been around for now for what, 30 years now? 30 years. So in one fell swoop, he pretty much destroyed all of the what is it, the galactic order, the galactic rebellion, the Galactic Republic's army.
Oh, the New Republic.
Yeah, the New Republic's army, literally in one fell swoop. Yeah. Right. So you have this guy that's consolidated all this power, and then this grand event that's going to happen with him trying to find Luke and kill him, getting rid of all the Jedi, and here comes Kylo Ren going, saying, you know what, F it, boom, that's it, that's all he did. So it's so underwhelming the way he died. Like, where was this guy? Was he part of the Empire? What did he do to get all this power? How did he corrupt Kylo Ren?
And I think a lot of that stuff's going to get answered in Episode 9.
You really think so?
I have a feeling that he's going to come back.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
if they do that, then I will be less upset about this.
Me too.
But this whole thing, that all these questions that Guch is asking, like, we don't even know if he's human.
Yeah, what the hell is he?
Apparently, there's like in some book that says that he came from the outer regions, where like apparently the Empire went for refuge, and that's how they first like encountered him.
Yeah,
and then he sort of like overtook them, but like it's not in the movie. And then when the director comes out and says like, well, it's not important, I'm like, okay, to tell that story. Yes, he's right. But if you're talking about Star Wars, the franchise, the universe that has had so much explanation to it, that's so much stuff in it that's been explained and everything like that. And I get that in the original movies, that wasn't done.
Yeah,
and then you get all this stuff in the expanded universe, you get books and all this stuff like that. But if you're going to make movies now with everything that the public knows about Star Wars, you need to explain these simple things.
I disagree.
You can explain who Snoke is, where he comes from,
at least give
in
us
about
something.
3 seconds.
At least
you can
give us
do it in 3
something about
seconds,
it.
and then the point of people watching the movie doesn't become, they get distracted by the idea of, I still don't know who the hell he is. I still don't know where he's come from. If you just answer that question in 3 seconds, then you can actually tell a real story instead of saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter. No, it actually does matter because people are thinking about it all the time instead of actually listening to the story.
1982, we're introduced to Emperor Palpatine.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing with you when you're talking about movies.
What I'm trying to get at is when you get introduced to Emperor Palpatine, what's your first question? Where did he come from? Who trained him? When do we get that answer? We don't even get the name drop until 2005.
Yeah.
When he mentions Darth Plagueis, he was my former master. Then after that, you get a book that explores a little bit more who Darth Plagueis is. That's what? Almost 30 years? To we even find out any background on who Palpatine is?
Then you weren't listening to what I just said. I said I understand that the original movies did that, and you could do that because
but what you're saying is that they need to explain it. Take 3 seconds just to explain who this is.
I didn't say that. I said it would be better if they did explain it, considering how much they have already explained about the Star Wars universe, and that maybe 30 years ago you could do that. But I think now with the wealth of information that Star Wars has out there, you really just need to tell people what it is so that they could stop wondering about what it is. Otherwise, because then it's like, oh, so if you don't tell us what it is, then actually the reason why you're not telling us must mean something. But then he tells us it doesn't mean anything. So then if it doesn't matter, then just tell us.
But maybe he's just saying that to get everybody off his back. Maybe there's a book that's being planned that Disney doesn't want to have released until they're ready to market it appropriately.
Well, I mean, I understand what Clint's saying though, because but Star Wars back then was much more ambiguous too.
I think what you said is more important is the fact that there's probably a reason why we don't know, and I don't think it has to do with that. It doesn't matter because you don't introduce this guy that is supposed to. At least this is my thought. You don't introduce a guy that's supposed to be. The big head honcho of the main villains of the movie, and then just kind of throw him away and say, well, how he came to be doesn't really matter, or who he is really doesn't matter, because we literally know nothing about him other than the fact that he is strong in the Force. whether it's the dark side of the light. We know that he's not a Sith because that's what the director came out and told everybody.
Right.
But there's got to be something more to him. And I think that there is a secrecy behind him for a reason that is either going to be explored in episode 9. And then once episode 9 is concluded and all is said and done, if we still don't have a conclusion and there are no plans to explore Snoke and his backstory in any sort of comic, video game, book, whatever, then at that point you can say, well, this is a cheap ripoff, yada, yada, yada. But to after a movie, just the fact that they don't take 3 seconds to explain, oh, I'm some guy from the past that learned the dark side from this person. Like, I don't think that's any sort of like a cheap knockoff or a diss.
I didn't say it was a cheap knockoff. I'm just saying, like, it makes it makes it seem like when Kylo Ren does what he does, they just did that to put him over as a wrestling term, right? Yeah. You build up this huge monster. You don't tell anyone anything about him, what he means to the story, and they make it seem like he's this important thing. But actually, he was just there to put over Kylo Ren to make Kylo Ren look awesome. Like, that's shitty storytelling. That is cheap ass storytelling. And honestly, it's not the only time this happens in the movie. So I'll bring up the next time. Yeah. Okay. This is the next part I have with the movie is that they make up this. They come up to. We can go back to Snoke if you want to, but
nope.
They go to this one part. They have this huge arc, and it's the Poe Dameron arc. And Poe Dameron, like in this story, he's like a person who's he sort of doesn't think things through. He's impulsive, and because he's impulsive, it costs people their lives. It costs the Republic, the Resistance in some ways, and they come up with this dynamic that like he's been demoted, right? And because he's been demoted, I'm assuming is why the Laura Dern character, I forgot what her name was, and Leia don't tell him what the plan is to save the Resistance when they're in peril. After they realize that they're being tracked through warp speed, right? Or what do they call it? Hyperspace. Yeah. And so the idea being that because he doesn't know what the plan is, he does all this crazy stuff to try to because he doesn't have faith. He doesn't know what the plan is. He doesn't have faith in them that they're doing the right thing. So he says, I know I'm doing the right thing. And so the story becomes this referendum on almost a lot of people have even said males not being able to submit to female authority, right? I don't know if that's what the movie's saying, but that's what people have said, right? But nevertheless, in the end, it's revealed that they had a plan all along and it was the right plan and that Poe Dameron was actually wrong. But then my whole point, the reason why I think it's cheap storytelling is that they never gave a reason why he needed to not know. I get it if maybe they had this idea that Laura Dern's character was a traitor. They kind of tried to maybe play that off, but that wasn't the case. They didn't even try to really play that off. People suspected it for a little bit, but they never really tried to really play it up. Maybe there's an edit that maybe it seems more prominent.
See, I think that's the thing. Yeah.
They didn't give a reason to not tell him the plan, and if they would have just told him the plan, he would have never done a bunch of the shit that he did, which is a huge part of the plot. Yeah. That comprises the whole story. It's just tell them. Yeah, it's super cheap storytelling. Just give us a reason.
I agree. It's it was a very long-winded way of saying that you first fool your enemies to fool your friends, right? I think that's really what they tried to do. It was really a really long-winded because he sends.
What was the purpose of it?
I don't know. The real purpose of it was nothing because ultimately, whether they send Rose and Finn to the casino planet, they were going to still do the same thing. Whether they succeed or not. I think the whole thing was to introduce Benicio del Toro's character, because if they would have never gone to that planet, they would have never met Benicio del Toro's character. I think that's really the only reason why they did it.
It's cheap story.
It's cheap story. I agree with you. And I would have rather have had Laura Dern be this I think, to be honest with you, I think that this should have been Mon Mothma's character. Mon Mothma should have been there. I don't know why Laura Dern was just there. She was an admiral. She was one of the admirals of the fleet, right? Or
Vice Admiral.
Vice Admiral, because what's his face got deep fried when the First Order killed him.
He's now fried calamari.
Yeah, he's fried calamari. He's pepper salted fried calamari.
See, and that's another thing people are really upset about too.
Yeah, that's bastardization.
Yeah,
but it sucks too because you actually see him die.
Yeah,
because you look in the background because when Leia's she's there's that moment you see Admiral Akbar in his chair just get sucked right out.
Yep.
Damn.
Now I kind of disagree with a lot of the whether it's cheap storytelling or not. I'm not going to comment on that, but I think that there is a reason why Holdo and Leia did not tell Poe, and Leia set it up from almost the very beginning of the movie when you first see interaction between her and Poe. Is that, to me, they made it clear that Leia is grooming Poe Dameron to take over.
Right.
You see that from the very beginning of the movie. You see that at the very end of the movie. And there's a transition point where, and I don't know if you guys have ever had to like train anybody for like, say, like a managerial position or any sort of leadership position, but you can't just tell somebody to do something and expect them to be a leader. Like Leia was trying that at the beginning when Poe was doing his stuff, and then he just switches her off. And that goes to show that whether he's impulsive or not, like he already had it in his mind that he was doing the right thing, and he had some success. But the moral of that story wasn't the fact that they took down a dreadnought; it was the fact that they lost over 80% of that particular fleet right there.
Right.
And because he wasn't focused on being a leader, and he wasn't focused on surviving, he was focused on destroying. That wasn't making him a good leader. That's the ideology of like the First Order or the old Empire, right?
Right.
The reason why they hold back, I think, is because, again, you can't just tell somebody something and expect them to follow through. Like, they could have told him, or this is the plan that we're doing, but that's not going to, at that point, from the position they had put Poe Dameron in, to make him a good leader, because, they're going to fly us to the Salt Planet where there's an old rebellion base, so we can go ahead and regroup and stuff. I think that Leia was putting him through these tests to kind of get him to become a better leader, which you see start to take hold when they're in their little salt speeder things, and Poe Dameron's like, we're not going to survive this, everybody pull back, let's survive instead of destroy.
Right.
And then even when he's going through and he's like, there's got to be a way out of here, and he looks at, like, he's like, there's a way out over here, that's where the little crystal foxes went, let's go. He looks at Leia, and Leia's like, listen to him. Like, that's the point to where she hands the leadership over to Poe Dameron. So to me, that whole story arc isn't about people saying that it's, man can't be subservient to women and stuff like that. It's Leia grooming Poe, and he was going about it the wrong way. She had to stun him, and she had, those reasons for doing that, but she eventually gets the lesson through. He learns a lesson. He becomes the leader that the rebellion needs him to be.
It's a great interpretation, and I like it a lot. I just think that it is an interpretation, and it's not as clear as it could have been in the film. And it could have, what you're saying, everyone could have interpreted the movie that way, and it would have been good. But they really just needed like a couple second, like two or three sentences, couple seconds here, couple seconds there, added to the film to make it clearer. Because I would have never got that from it. Like, I was just wondering, like, why don't you just tell them? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
And the crazy thing about it is I actually like the casino scene too, but it seems unnecessary to me. That whole scene.
I liked it the second time I saw it. The first time I thought it felt out of place.
I mean, like I said, I liked it. It's still, even the second time I watched it, it still felt out of place. I mean, it doesn't need to be there. I think they could have taught him that same lesson a different way.
But that scene has nothing to do with Poe.
Well, he sends them over there. He sends them to find a way to stop to puncture.
To get a code breaker.
Yeah, to stop the hyperspace tracking thing.
Yeah,
but Poe just tells him to do it. It's not his idea.
He said, "Dude,
like you said, they would have gone anyway.
If Poe tells Finn to do it, Finn's gonna do it.
Right, but like you said, they would have gone anyway.
Yeah, but if Finn knew the plan, he would have never tried to do it.
Yeah, he would have never told him.
He would have never attempted to even leave.
Yeah,
if he knew what the plan was,
he could have. So that whole scene seems out of place for the whole movie. I mean, I liked it. It's a cool scene like the whole 25 minutes of it.
Yeah,
right. But it always, like, I watched it again and like it did feel out of place.
And I think the most important thing of that is less about introducing Benicio, but more about cementing Rose's character.
Yeah.
And I personally, I mean, there are some scenes where it's like, when she saves Finn at the end and she gives him the kiss and it's like, I'm saving your life, dummy. That felt kind of weird. But to me, Rose is the epitome of what the rebellion's about. Like, she's got a reason to fight against the Empire or the Tyrannical, whatever. And like, she's the kind of person that says that I would do anything it cost to be able to free people. And she does it. And like, that's how I saw the rebellion, when I was a kid and stuff like that. And I don't know.
So we haven't talked on I mean, this stuff that we're talking about, I don't think is the stuff that people have been complaining about the movie. The big reason that people have been complaining about the movie is one of the things we haven't spoken about yet, which is the comedy.
Chiseled ass Ben Solo.
I don't think people were complaining about that one.
No, a lot of people were complaining about it.
Really? Are you talking about like the high? Well, people were wearing
the high pants.
But it's not.
But that's what they wore in the 70s.
But he's not
the
wearing
originals.
pants. That's like a.
But this is like 30. This is 30 years in the future.
It's a bandage he's wearing.
It's the future.
It's not in the future. It's in the past.
Well, yeah. It's 30 years in the future from a long time ago.
Well, I actually don't know what were most people angry about. To be honest.
Comedy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That it was
like
overboard, out of place.
Some of it feels that shit felt really out of place, dude.
And a lot of it is in the first like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then after that, it calms down.
Yeah.
Like there are still some comedic moments, but it's not as hardcore as it was. Like the whole thing, like I'm calling for, General Hux, tall, skinny guy. Like that was like, really?
But you know what the funny thing about that one is I didn't have a problem with that because if you go back and watch episode 7, Poe Dameron starts off the movie by making some weird comment like that too.
Yeah.
When like Kylo Ren's gonna kill him or something like that, he's like, "Well, are you gonna say
you talk first? Do I talk first?
Yeah, exactly, right.
I can't understand you with this whole thing.
And he kind of did that again, so I was like, okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? But which was interesting because then Poe Dameron didn't make any jokes the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
and he was like the guy that was.
But like you look at Han Solo, right? Like even when he's in the stormtrooper and like when they're trying to save Leia and he like blasts all the stormtroopers and like he's like answering the distress call. He's like, everything is fine here now. Fine, thank you. How are you? Like that's a comedic moment, but he's not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Like here, they're making these comedic moments, but they're trying to make him a funny guy.
Exactly. They're telling jokes.
They're forcing it to be like a joke. Like even like you said in the first Star Wars, Leia cracks a joke about Luke being a short stormtrooper.
Yeah.
But it felt in its place there. It felt right.
But like she knew that like he's not a stormtrooper. So
exactly. So it felt right, but like these other jokes didn't feel right.
And the other thing too is that I think that a lot of people, and so that's one part of it, but the other part of it is that like a lot of people felt that Luke was really like the tone of Luke was a lot different than people had expected, and I think that is because of the comedy, right? He cracked a lot more jokes because he's not that kind of person, at least not even in episode 6. I would say that his personality should be closer to what it was in episode 6 than it was in episode 9. I mean, obviously he's a different person in episode 6 than he is in even 4, right?
Yeah.
But by the time he gets to episode 9, especially, and then the interesting thing is that he's actually like makes more jokes and is, even though like if you look at what's happened to him between episode 6 and 9, a lot. I mean, excuse me, 8. I'm sorry, 9 and 8. A lot has happened and a lot of tragedy has happened. I mean, and now Han's dead and like he's making jokes. I mean, obviously he doesn't know that. I think he knows Han's dead, right?
No, yeah, he knows Han's dead.
So because Chewie bursts in and he's like, "Wait, where's Han?"
Yeah. So you would think that type of, and then he never really like. There's no scene in the movie where like
they don't show any grief.
Luke is grieving for Han, which seemed odd to me too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
actually, I think they kind of show it when he goes back on the Falcon.
Yeah.
Because he goes on the Falcon and he's walking in the cockpit and it's like Luke gives us emotion like, this is Han's ship and like last time I was here, I lost my hand and like they show him sit down in like where the chessboard was and he's like, oh, and that's when R2 wakes up.
Yeah.
So,
but like even still, like it's like it's
what was the dice thing, by the way? I don't think I quite understand this.
So in episode 4, in the very first Star Wars, there's a little set of gold dice hanging, and it was like legit, like like just our dice, but just gold. And that was the thing. It was like a little car ornament in the Millennium Falcon, and you see it like hitting Chewie in the head. And so that's like been like a kind of like behind the scenes sort of thing that like your typical Star Wars fan's not going to know. It's going to be a lot of the hardcore people that know about that stuff. Yeah. But in this movie, they incorporated it to be something more meaningful. Yeah. So that way, when it goes to Leia, she's like, okay, and then she leaves it for Ben. Ben sees it, and it's like, I think that has a little bit more of an emotional impact for him. And then because Luke dies, it goes away.
I thought the whole thing with Luke was like, I felt like he had lost almost some of his mind. Like I think that's why I chalked it up to, like, because a lot of people have different ways of dealing with with Lost, and I just think he lost a little bit of his mind.
And I think that happens when they do the flashback when they show him like looking into Ben, and like he was about like he ignites his lightsaber because like that was his instinct. Is like he felt so much darkness there that he had to destroy it. But then he realized was what's going on. Like that was the beginning. And then even when he comes out of the fire and he sees like how everybody was like his entire school was destroyed. Yeah. Like I think that just sent him into some sort of a downward spiral. Yeah. And then all those years of seclusion. I mean, I'm like, who knows what kind of interaction he had with the caretakers on Octo? Maybe it was sexual. Who knows?
I agree.
By the way, that one scene where he like milks that creature, that was so weird and out of place. Could they have just please taken that out?
No,
it was so strange.
No, the whole thing was, I think there was blue milk coming out of it.
It was green.
It was green milk. Okay,
it was like, really disturbing.
Like when he starts milking,
what was the point of it?
like he
space
starts
stuff, dude. No,
I don't get it.
He started chugging it too.
Like,
it was disgusting.
Well, I think the idea was to show like what a typical day in Luke's life would have been. But like, does that mean every morning he goes to these things and he fucking milks their titty, and then like when he's drinking it,
looks so weird.
He's not even drinking it. He's
so
chugging
creepy.
it. It's all pouring down his chin.
Yeah,
and then he looks up at Rey, he's like, yeah.
It's like really
and then she
disturbing.
like walks away. It's like that was really like.
But like, but it's not even that.
She looks now. You're gonna get sued like Harvey Weinstein.
I think he's lost his
It's not
mind
even that.
over
Like
it.
she looks at the Beast, and the Beast looks at her like.
What? Yeah, exactly.
It was exactly right.
The Beast was like, "Don't judge me."
It's like I'm getting milk.
Yeah, don't judge me.
It was
so nice hands.
The thing about that, like you could put that scene in a bunch of other sci-fi movies, like Guardians of the Galaxy or anything like that, and it's no problem. But in Star Wars, it's super
weird,
out of place.
Yeah, it felt out of place.
Which is funny too, because before the movie came out on one of the subreddits, people were like, "There's a rating on here from the movie board for nudity," and people were like, "What the fuck? Like nudity in Star Wars?" And then like. You think about it, it's like, well, Kylo Ren, like, but he was like, Anakin was topless and they market for nudity. Yeah. But it's not until you see an animal titty and it's getting squeezed out. It's like, oh god,
I can't believe that's nude. That's dumb. I don't know what the hell that thing was. How can you even say that was nude?
That's a fake tit.
Doesn't wear clothes.
I don't know what it is, dude. It was so weird. It was weird, but like I said, I chalk it up to him actually going a little bit insane.
And I think that was. I think that's what that scene was for, is to show that he's not a typical.
Jedi Master
who's got his solid, foundation. Like he's cracked. He's a little crazy.
And I like how Mark Hamill played Luke this time. That wasn't my part. I actually liked.
I thought he was great. I thought he was fantastic.
It showed someone that obviously has lost a lot in his life. He recently lost a friend, and he's lost so much. He lost his students, and then he had to live 20 years in seclusion, or I don't know whenever.
At least 15.
At least 15 years in seclusion, and
no, I don't think it was that long. I wouldn't say it was like 5-10 years. Well,
either way, but
how old is Kylo?
30.
So it could have been 15. I mean, we don't know how young he was.
He looked like he was like 20.
But I mean, of course.
I think the canonical age of Kylo, it's late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. So I mean,
because Rey is supposed to be around Luke's age, so she's like 19, 20.
You feel like Kylo in that scene where Luke was, where there was some confusion, miscommunication over who was trying to kill who or whatever. How old did you think Kylo was in that scene?
Probably early 20s.
So it's 10 years at most.
To be honest, I thought he was like late teens. To be honest with you, I thought maybe 18 or 19.
There you go, and that would still put him at a 30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's 12 years of being alone after
And that's a lot of years of corruption by Snoke.
By Snoke, yep. So
a lot of years to fucking do some push-ups.
What Mark Hamill did with Luke, I thought it was great. It just shows someone a broken person.
This movie made Luke Skywalker my favorite character in all the movies.
Yeah, I loved
Luke in this. And there was a scene. I think, I don't know, when we were watching it, there was a scene, the scene where they're on the planet, whatever the salt planet or whatever it was, and and he walks out of that base. And it's like, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, I never thought, and when I was a little kid watching Star Wars, and you watch Luke's journey, and he becomes this Jedi, and then the movies end and everything like that, like, and then when you're like, you're our age, and you came of age in the 90s, and these movies have been out for 10 years, and they've never made another one, and you're almost assuming they're not going to make any more, right?
Right.
And then when they decide to make more, they make it like about Anakin, right? So like, you're like, well, Luke is still... He's still out there. You don't know what happened to him unless you read the books and stuff like that.
Right.
But like, to see that scene, I never thought I would see it in my life. Yeah. I never thought I would see Mark Hamill walk out as a Jedi Master like that and just literally be the baddest motherfucker in the galaxy.
But you know what amazes me more is because, like, obviously I know like all the Well, I used to read the extended universe and stuff, but one of the toughest things that a Jedi Master could do is to astral project like that.
Yeah.
And not only that he was a badass when he was being shot at, but just the ability to manifest yourself in a semi-physical form galaxies away is an amazing feat for a Jedi.
Because he does it in the Dark Empire comics, but he's a little bit younger when he does it, and it doesn't even phase him.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is
that alone, I thought that was badass.
Yeah. The funny thing is that if you rewatch it, you actually the movie gives you all the clues that he's not actually there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his feet.
But like right off the bat, it's like, from there, from like Octo to there, like homie had time to go get a haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
The fucking gray coat
I didn't
out.
notice that much.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed.
You didn't notice it? I'm like, well, how did he get all
I don't know. I'm not studying his fucking face. Like,
he was all like gray and scraggly, and then like he shows up to Leia, and he's like clean kept.
Yeah. Okay, so he can't get a little robot to cut his shit while he's in fucking hyperspace flying over there.
Again, his X-wing was destroyed. So how'd he get there?
No, I mean, how'd he get there? I mean, we're talking. We don't know how far away this
his X-wing wasn't destroyed. It was in the water. He could have just pulled it right out.
No, they
showed it. It was full. It was there.
No, if you look at it, like because so one thing that I didn't notice until I watched it the second time, the door on his hut is one of the wings from his X-wing.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, another thing too that I didn't even like think about was when he's fighting Kylo, he's using the blue lightsaber.
Yeah.
And it got destroyed.
Yeah, that's weird.
The only thing though is that I feel like in that one scene, Rian Johnson almost fucked that whole scene up for me, because right when and this is one of the things that like really fucking irked me about the movie and was like, fuck you, Rian Johnson, was that like when that scene where Kylo's like, shoot him and have everyone shoot him, and they're all shooting him, and then all of a sudden he's still there, right? Like obviously at the time you're like, oh shit, Luke's a badass, right? He put some force field up. Actually, he was never there, right?
Yeah.
But right when he does that, when he comes out of it, he wipes off his shoulder, and I'm like, that is such a 20th century American like urban culture thing. And this shit's supposed to be taking place like thousands of years ago in some galaxy. Get the fuck out of here.
I think it was just a move to antagonize Kylo.
But why is that the move? They would never have thought of that move.
Well, what would he do instead?
Remember I told you guys when I walked out, he might as well just dabbed.
Exactly.
Just do that.
Exactly.
Or do the Running Man. He could have done the Running Man. It would have been the same thing.
That's not even like, that's a completely different context. Like brushing something off your shoulder, it's not like it's a fucking hip hop video.
That's what he did it like.
No, he just brushed.
All he used to do.
You've never brushed anything off your shoulder, and you're not trying to be a fucking hip hop star.
No, he did it because he was
fucking dabbing is fucking completely different. Moonwalking is completely fucking different.
Devo, I don't watch music videos.
Should he have fucking done the crotch chops and said fucking DX suck it? Like,
Devo, I don't see country music videos where guys.
He wiped it off his shoulder. So what?
Exactly.
That's what he could have
done. What if he would have brushed his hair or what? Like it doesn't.
Oh, he could have done this too.
That's fine. It's the same thing. It's the same.
But it's not.
It is.
Because the way he did it. Exactly.
He like smirks. He's like,
yeah. He's like,
so cheesy.
It's like that's all you got. Like
it was so cheesy.
That is not a problem.
No, I mean, it irked me. I thought it was cheesy, but obviously it didn't. It
bothers me because that's going to be in it's going to be in Star Wars movies forever. We're always going to watch these movies. We're always going to be like, this is part of the canon of this great film.
You know what?
And this fool's going to be doing this.
You know when it comes up, you take a swig of something and try to forget about it, dude. I thought it did irk me. I don't think it retracted from that whole scene, mind you, because
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
But I did. I thought of myself like, oh, God.
That was.
You feel, gosh, man.
No,
it was just
wholeheartedly disagree.
It was just as bad as some of those jokes earlier on in the. I was like, God.
Okay,
I had a worse reaction to the green milk sucking.
That was that. I didn't even know what to think of that.
Well, it's because it's.
I didn't even know what to think of that.
Like, who drinks milk? Except an insane person. That's like, I'm like, we don't even.
First of all, I would not drink milk from an alien, anyways. Just to begin with.
Well, maybe it's good. Maybe it tastes like. Maybe it's alcoholic. You never know.
Hey, sure, it might taste like pumpkin pie, but I ain't gonna eat the motherfucker.
Well, exactly. But
at some point, he had probably had no fucking choice.
He had no choice.
He's like, I'm either gonna drink the salt or I'm gonna suck the milk out of his titty.
It's funny because there's the scene where Rey cuts off the boulder and it crashes onto the thing. That's Star Wars humor.
Yeah.
That's Star Wars humor. We didn't get a lot of that in this movie.
No.
And I feel like if J.J. Abrams would have made the movie, we would have gotten. I 100% think if J.J. Abrams just made all three movies, this movie would have been way different and would have been much better. I think they fucked it up in this movie.
I'm not going to say that because I really like this movie. I really like the movie.
So the other thing too is that okay. So another part that made me that kind of bothers me is like, okay, and I know they already did this with the Emperor, but it still doesn't even make sense with the Emperor, right? the room that Snoke is in, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Snoke, he owns the galaxy, he runs the galaxy, and this and that, everything's great.
He just bought it. He bought it on sale.
He's just chilling in that room all the time? What the fuck for? Why isn't he on like the bridge or something, ordering people around? Like, I'm just gonna chill in this room all the time with like guards to keep me safe when like no one other than the people that are part of the Empire is in the fucking room.
We don't know
now,
that.
If I'm Snoke and I'm there with my guards, I'm like, don't just stand in the corner all fucking day.
You're saying that we understand it with the Emperor. Like, why was the Emperor like that?
No, I say the Emperor was even weird too. He's just sitting in there, his fucking thing, looking out the window all damn day.
Of course
like,
not.
Why don't they have TV,
dude? Of
why don't
course
they watch shit?
Dude, he knew that. First of all, he knew that Kylo Ren was bringing Rey. So you go to your throne room for that.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has like a little
where he sleeps and shit.
Exactly. No, like you know
where his hose are.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably out to the side or behind his throne. It's like he has like a little mirror and shit with his makeup on.
You think he's like fucking Twi'leks and shit like that, or what?
No, it's not even that. You know how you see like in the movies, there's a little area back there where you can make your face, make yourself look pretty. Boom, he has that shit.
Oh, he has a vanity mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, so he has a dressing room.
Yeah, of course, he has a dressing room.
So Kylo Ren had one. Why can't he have one?
Exactly. So you can't, that's like his throne room. If you want to threaten someone, of course you're gonna be sitting in a big old scary chair with your guards around you and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now here's my other thing: is that like, of course, the people have speculated that they're gonna address this in Episode 9. But they show, okay, there's this idea that Kylo Ren is the leader of the Knights of Ren, and that the Knights of Ren that we find out in Episode 8 are it's not like explicit, but it's likely that the Knights of Ren are the other Jedi Padawans that Ben took with him, that were also influenced by Snoke, right? Some people have speculated that the people that were the guards that he killed, the
Praetorian
guard, were them. That they like.
That's what I thought.
I thought so too.
When Snoke got control of Kylo, like he just took them too, right? And they became his thing. But then my thing is that doesn't kind of make sense, because then why would they fight Kylo?
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I mean? Like, if Kylo's the guy that like took you in from Snoke, then you're gonna kill Kylo.
But if Snoke was able to bend their mind and
I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying it seems it's a stretch.
But what I'm saying is that if Snoke took them over and like is controlling them, then why not implant the idea that I'm your number one priority?
But he was dead.
If anybody attacks me, your sole purpose is to destroy them, no matter who it is.
Yeah, but he was dead already.
Right. Somebody attacked their leader, so their first thing to do is to attack that person.
Yeah, but if you're Kylo and Snoke is dead and they were your boys before you guys ever went to Snoke, you would think that he should have an opportunity to even have a conversation with them.
Not if you're brainwashed.
For him.
Not if you're brainwashed.
Well, not if I get that, but he's dead, and I'm just saying that like you would think that they would have had a conversation. It would seem reasonable to me that they would have had a conversation, and also it seems reasonable to me.
Look, guys, I'm about ready to kill Snoke. All right. I'm going to fuck him up royally.
No, he's already dead.
I need you to promise not to attack me, right? We're boys. You know, I took you out of the grass with Luke. You know, like, I got you here. I got you this sweet, sweet red armor. Don't attack me.
Devo's being an asshole right now. Am I wrong to think that you would think that there would be they would at least think maybe
the problem is
Snoke is dead. Maybe I should just go with Kylo now.
Dude, the problem is you're trying to bring reason to something that there's no reason to it. It just
assuming that
it has no reason.
Assuming they were the Knights of Ren, it's easier to assume.
That's why I'm saying that I don't think they are. I think the idea is that they're not. And I'm saying if they're not,
I'm pretty sure they're not.
Then where the fuck were they?
I'm pretty sure they're not. I mean,
Kylo's about to get killed multiple times. Where the fuck were they?
I don't know. Maybe he turned on them. I mean, we don't know. Obviously,
maybe they're not.
Maybe they're controlling each of their own little sectors, and they're like the admiral of some sector.
I don't know.
You know
I
think no. This just happens to be the one that Kylo's in. They are the royal guards for Snoke. You know how Palpatine had those dudes in the red?
I know.
They are for Snoke, and they're there to protect Snoke. Maybe if anything happens to your master, then you attack who attacks your master. Doesn't matter who it is. And Kylo Ren, it doesn't matter, even if they were boys or whatever, like, oh shit, you just killed our master. I've got to take you down now. And they did that with the best of their abilities.
You know what's funny is that if you're a history major, you know that's actually not the way people react.
And the only reason why the Praetorian guard didn't attack Darth Vader and Luke is because they were going to get killed. They were like, we're out.
Which is my point.
But there's nobody else in the room.
There was no one else.
But my point is that if say they killed Kylo, well then what?
Well, I mean, Rey would have probably killed him. I don't know.
No, I'm saying like then what did the Praetorian Guard do? One of them becomes the leader. It doesn't even. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, probably what
real people do is they see them. I'm a warrior. I had this allegiance to this guy. He's dead. The other guy says, "Do you want to be with me now?" Okay.
Yeah.
You see, that to me, that would have made sense. I get it why they did it because they want to have this fight.
But there was no opportunity. Those guys,
like
the second Snoke died, they got that murder hard on.
We don't know if they're people.
They got that murder hard on, and they fucking just went to go kill Kylo.
People.
Well, the whole thing is that it was,
they could be robots.
For me, was this like, all right, so if they were the Knights of Ren, right, and assuming they were Jedi trainees or whatever the hell they right, I would have expected them to use some sort of force weapons.
They didn't at all.
Yeah.
They didn't use any force weapons at all.
Unless, again, this is all Snoke, getting master control, and then, like, maybe he found a way to wipe
exactly. So
inhibit their abilities.
And I was like, all right. So I was like, all right. So if they are the Knights of Ren, I mean, why aren't they using any type of force weapon, right? And or like a lightsaber or something? Because there's multiple different types of love sabers, yes, lightsabers. But so if it's not them, maybe they were going through the whole Sith thing where there could be one master and one apprentice. So maybe at one point in time,
no, they weren't going through the Sith thing. They
weren't going through the Sith thing.
I think they mentioned a couple times that the Sith thing was,
Snoke even says like the Sith and the Jedi are dead.
Okay, so maybe they were. And
then even Kylo, after he kills Snoke, he's like the Sith, the Jedi, let it all die. Let's start something new.
No, I don't think with them.
I think that's the whole thing. Is like this movie is to like the whole idea of the Jedi. Like even the fact that Rey still has the books and all that stuff. I think the idea is that they're getting away from that type of religion sort of thing, and it's just you've got people that have the ability in the Force, which is why they showed that little kid at the end with the fucking broom.
Yeah.
I forgot what we're talking about.
No, I actually think that it's good that you brought us to that because I think that there's this idea that that this is something different now, right? And even if I think obviously the Knights of Ren will be like this thing to make Kylo seem formidable again in the next movie, I think, is what they're probably going to end up doing. And then like they'll have to figure out some way to explain like why they weren't there to help him when all this crazy ass shit is happening. But nevertheless, I think that there's this idea at the end of the movie that Devo mentions that anyone can be a Force user, and that like it wasn't just a fucking Skywalker thing, right? It's anybody, right? And this we saw in the original and the prequels. Shouldn't say the original, but the prequels, that there's just a bunch of different species from a bunch of different planets, a bunch of different people, and anyone could be a Force user. Right. It's all random, and that the next generation is coming. I thought it, and I think that was a cool way. That's one thing I will give Rian Johnson credit for. That I don't think people thought that Star Wars was going to go that way. Because now they're opening up the universe instead of closing it down. Right. So you have this idea that like when these movies end, the Skywalker story is over. Yeah. Actually, the Skywalker story is just a very small part that actually incidentally had this huge small part of the Force that had this huge part in this political idea, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that's interesting to me that I was fascinated, which Yoda came on screen and he was fucking awesome. It was weird to me that like Yoda sort of like tricked Luke because Yoda burnt down that tree and Luke, I was under the impression, thought that the books were in there. Yeah. And Yoda basically told him that you don't need the books. You don't need this. She knows everything that she needs to know already. The religion can die. It doesn't mean that the Force users will die, or that people using lightsabers will die, or that people doing good things will die. It's just we don't need this religion anymore. It doesn't need to be so rigid, right? And that like sated Luke, and he understood that. And I believe he died thinking that the books were gone. Yeah. But it seemed weird to me that the books weren't gone. I didn't catch this when I first watched the movie, and I guess I wasn't watching closely enough. But obviously, she still has the books, and
she got
and
the
it just seemed weird to me. Like I thought the whole point of the movie was sort of to get rid of these things. But yet they still kept it there. It seemed odd to me.
I think it's more of a. I want to say it's more of they're gonna become more of a historical artifact, and I have a feeling that Rey is going to end up becoming the future of this light side ability. I don't know how you want to call it because it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be Jedi anymore. Because she's even like talking to Leia, like, what do we do now? The Jedi are gone. And then Leia said something about like hope, right? Because that's fucking the moral of every fucking story that she has.
A new hope.
A newer hope.
Yeah.
The newest hope.
And I think Rey will use those to be like, you know, how do I train people to use the Force? And I don't think she's going to necessarily follow a lot of the ideas of the Jedi, but I think she's going to at least have some sort of reference to be like, you know, these are the foundations of the good that I feel that I want to pursue.
And to elaborate on why Yoda fooled or tricked Luke, I think Yoda knew that going back again, that he was kind of a broken Luke.
Yeah.
You know? And Yoda was like, I don't know any other way to deal with this.
Because he even makes a comment. He's like, still here you are looking towards the future, like not where you're at. Like,
exactly.
You're still that young boy that I trained.
Exactly. So I personally think Yoda was like, you know,
I mean, Luke's gonna know eventually, obviously.
Obviously, I mean, and then he might thank Yoda when he becomes a Force Ghost. Yeah, exactly. But at that point, I think Yoda knew that this guy he needs to hear this to be able to finish what he needs to finish. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what see this or whatever. Right. And I think Yoda knew, because I mean it was obvious that he's broken. He's a broken person at that point.
And it'll be interesting to see how he comes back in episode 9.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill will be in the movie.
Of course he's gonna be. He's gonna be a Force Ghost.
It's gonna be awesome to see him as a Force Ghost. The interesting thing is that
they fucking better be a Force Ghost. Nice. I really hope. Yeah.
No, I think he'll be in the movie.
I'm pretty sure he will be, but if not, I mean,
I'm just curious if they'll bring back anyone else, like Obi-Wan as a Force Ghost or Anakin as a Force Ghost,
right?
Like, because I think it would have been interesting already if Anakin had been a Force Ghost to Kylo.
It
would have been
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially considering like the way that they leave it in Episode 6 and like the redone one where it's like Hayden Christensen.
Yeah,
like could have actually had Hayden Christensen in the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there were rumors that he was on set, but
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But obviously nothing
happened of
that,
it. Yeah, I think it's interesting. But first of all, when Yoda came on screen and then he started talking to Luke, it literally felt like I was watching Luke on Dagobah again.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
It was like the same dynamic.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
because even the color was like the fire was like there was a slight fire and like that glow. Yeah.
And
that was cool.
Yoda just seemed so much wiser than Luke, even though Luke was like the wisest person, probably maybe one of the wisest people that was in the movie, other than Yoda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing that I thought is that, and I guess this may be a stupid little one, but they had this emphasis on Kylo's helmet in this movie, and I gotta say, I think I liked why they did it. I just don't think I liked that they did it. Like, I like the mask. I think he sounds awesome with the mask on.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like I know why they did it, because they wanted to make Snoke, like, antagonize Kylo.
Yeah.
Like, give the audience a reason to understand why Kylo could rebel against him, could betray him, right? Because Snoke was being an asshole, right?
Right.
But I was like, and then he like smashed it, obviously, and the helmet had its own trajectory that like serves as like an allegory or a metaphor for his own trajectory. But I'm sad to see it go, because it is awesome.
Yeah.
And I know why he was doing it, because he's trying to mimic Vader, and in order for his character to sort of move beyond Vader, or potentially maybe even turn to the light side, he has to sort of let that go.
Yeah.
But it would seem, I don't know.
I kind of hope that he's like, you know what, like, F you, Snoke, like, this is who I feel I am. This is what helps to define me, and I hope he brings it back.
So, do you guys think that they're gonna, like, ultimately, like you said, ultimately bring Snoke back, and he'll be the ultimate bad guy that Kylo Ren will eventually have to redeem himself to kill?
I imagine it like a bad relationship where, like, you break up with someone and she comes back and it's like you just can't seem to leave her, or she can't seem to leave you. Like, Snoke will come back in the picture, and then there's going to be that sort of like, great, I just killed him, but now he's still here and he's still tormenting me. And I think that will be what drives Ben to the light side, so that way he and Rey have to work together to truly destroy Snoke.
Now, do you think that the Finn's blooming relationship with Rose will play a jealous role, like a jealousy key with Rey?
No, she's gonna date Poe Dameron.
Who? Rose or Rey?
Rey.
You really think so?
Yeah. No,
I don't think that's gonna happen. Because
I think Rey's gonna have no love interest.
Yeah. See,
I think that
I think
it'll be
just
Poe
like
a
Luke.
little bit.
I don't think it'll be Luke. I mean, if it was anything, it would have been Finn.
No, I think it's
no.
Poe.
I didn't say she's gonna love Luke. I said that she's gonna have no interest.
Be like Luke. Yeah. No. But but Clint's saying that it's gonna be Poe. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Because they just barely met each other.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense?
They haven't even they hardly have any interaction with each other.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's what you have a whole movie for.
She has she's more likely to have a relationship with Chewie.
Go back and look at the way that she looked at him.
You're hung, Chewie.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, go back and look at the way she looked at him.
I guess.
I'm just saying. I think that I don't. Okay, put it this way: if Rian Johnson was making Episode 9, Snoke doesn't come back, doesn't appear at all.
Okay, all right.
Since J.J. Abrams is making Episode 9, and because there's been this, because even if there's this backlash about Snoke, I think that Rian Johnson would be like, "Fuck you guys, I'm just gonna do what I want to do."
Yeah, but I don't think
because J.J. Abrams is gonna make this movie. I'm trying to think when I was watching that scene, I was like, okay, maybe Snoke isn't dead because I don't know if he's human or not. I don't know what the fuck. Maybe you cut him in half. He's like fucking from the Thing or some shit. You know, he can fucking sprout out fucking spider arms, right? But apparently that wasn't the case. He was dead, right? I'm assuming only one. This is the only path I could see to him being alive, being in the next movie. Is that somehow, and I don't understand how this could happen because all the people in the room were dead. Is that someone got his body and was able to like revive his upper body and then make like a lower body for him, and then he's like a half cyborg type thing.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's actually not going to be in the movie. I personally think so.
So you think it's going to be a total just Rey versus like?
I think that. Thing. Oh, okay. I shouldn't say Snoke may be in the movie, but he'll only be in the movie as like
a ghost,
some type of like force in Kylo's head or something like that.
No, I think he's going to come back because I have a feeling that both he and Rey are clones.
I don't think any of that is the case. I don't, because I just don't see how. Put it this way, if they do that, then why did they do all this other stuff?
That's where it seems kind of convoluted.
You know what I mean? Like they made it, and so. Well, I guess my okay. So here's my next question. You asked about Snoke if he's going to be in the movie. What do you think? So this and I know you guys have read about this. So the first movie was episode 7 was supposed to be a movie about Han, Rey as well, but this was supposed to be like Han's movie, right?
Right.
Then he dies. Then episode 8 is supposed to be Luke's movie. Then he dies. Episode 9 was supposed to be Leia's movie. I don't see, they put her in CG in Rogue One. I don't see why you can't just do a whole movie with Leia as CG. I mean, her mouth doesn't move anyways. You should be able to animate it pretty easily.
They're going to have to now. What are they going to do?
No, they're not. They have said...
She's not going to be in episode 9?
They're not going to have her character in episode 9. And there's also been rumors that like, since episode 7 and 8 were, like, took place like literally like right after each other, and that's uncommon in Star Wars, that there may be a significant time gap between 8 and 9, like maybe like 5 to 10 years potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And if they do that, then you can just say Leia got old or she's incapacitated or whatever you have, right?
Or she died of natural causes. But I have a feeling that she's going to go off and do something else, or like it's clear that there are other sects of the rebellion or the whatever they called it, the what was the name of the rebellion in this movie?
The Galactic Alliance? What is it?
No. The Resistance.
Resistance, yeah.
And so, because she sends a distress signal out to all her allies and stuff, like, I think she's going to go off somewhere while she lets Poe run the true heart of the new rebellion.
Right, okay.
So do you think she'll be in the movie, like her likeness, or do you think
I don't think she'll have her likeness? They'll do something like what they did with Maz Kanata, right? Like how they had a holographic Skype session with Maz to ask her a question about how to get that code breaker, and I think they'll do something like that with Leia, so that way you get an interaction with her, but she'll be a hologram, so they can easily CG it. And then I also read, I don't know if it's a rumor or a confirmation, but that they're going to take just audio used from these past 2 movies to create the lines that she's going to use in episode 9.
Do you think that she'll die?
No, I think she'll be alive and she'll be just somewhere else out of this story.
I mean, do you think she's gonna die at the end of the movie?
No,
because the other 2 characters did.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like if she does, like it'll be like maybe like something happens. There's another new super weapon or something to where like I think if it does happen, it happens off camera and it's no relation to Kylo, and maybe that's kind of like. That has some sort of bigger emotional impact to him as opposed to, because he was about ready to kill her when he was flying by, but then he didn't.
Yeah.
So there's some sort of strong emotional connection between he and his mom, and maybe if she dies naturally off camera, then that's kind of maybe the big push to get him back to the light side or something. Who knows?
I'm almost curious if she'll be like in disguise for a lot of the movie. So like her character's in there and everyone knows it's her character when they rewatch it, but you only really have to have her on camera for like 2-3 scenes or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm just thinking like the producer was like, her likeness won't be in there. I'm like, how can you even make the movie without her at this point? Like you can't even make a movie without her. Like she has to be in the movie, and a lot of the movie for it to be like what everyone would want it to have.
If they do, like if you're saying it's true, it's gonna be 6 to 10 years later. Honestly, what they're gonna do is they're probably in the rolling credits at some time in this time that she died or something. If that's gonna probably that's.
I think people won't like that though.
They won't.
They won't like it.
But to me, I think it's clear that at the end of this movie that she has relinquished her leadership to Poe Dameron. So Poe Dameron's the leader of the rebellion,
and the rest of the ragtag force that they have now. So it'll be Poe Dameron at the lead, and Finn and Rose probably some lieutenants or generals or some other.
All fucking 18 people that are on the Falcon.
Exactly. The salty foxes will be part of it too. You know.
I almost thought that this movie proved to me that although Leia, and this is I think it also plays into one of the overarching themes of the movie, is that although Leia never got trained as a Jedi, and although Leia never really thought of herself as a Force user, or that, I mean, I don't even know if it was 100% clear how adept she was at the Force. I mean, obviously people know that she is, but how much she's aware of it herself, and how much she thinks that she could affect the world because of that. You know what I mean? Could she just make something float, like a rock float? This is the joke that they've had in one of the little inside jokes they had in the movie, right? Could she do that? And I don't know if she could do that, or if she decided I want to do this, could she actually do it? She may not have the skills to focus her abilities enough to do it, but that scene where she's out there, and I know a lot of people have complained about this. I know Guch, you hate it, where she essentially basically makes herself not die and then floats back into the ship and is I mean, she's fucked up, but she recovers and it comes out of it, and it seems like she's okay at the end of the movie, right? To me, that I felt was Star Wars, the storytellers, or Rian Johnson or whoever, basically saying that Leia probably was the strongest in the Force of all the characters, other than maybe Anakin.
I wouldn't go that far. I think that was.
I know you guys aren't going to agree with me. I'm just saying.
Well, no, I think it's less to show her strength compared to other characters, and more to show that at some point she had some training.
Well, no,
I don't think that's what it is at all. I was trying to.
In some of the other books, Yoda and all, and they actually mentioned that Leia was extremely powerful with the Force. I mean, she should be as powerful as Luke in the Force, because obviously they're freaking twins.
Yeah.
It's just that the Skywalker line has this innate ability in the Force, and although she may have never cultured it like Luke did, doesn't mean that it's not there.
Well, I also read somewhere that I think canon, in I don't know where it is in the canon, but Yoda wanted to train Leia, not Luke.
Yeah, he wanted to train Leia, not Luke. And even in the movie, it says that if Luke fails, there is another. And I'm pretty sure he wanted to train Leia at that point, because she seemed more level-headed than Luke, you know.
Well, she grew up as a politician.
Yeah, and Luke was
a fucking hick.
Yeah, exactly, drinking blue milk.
Well, only thing I was trying to say is that the reason why I thought that, and I know you guys might disagree with me, the only reason I thought that is because she did something that I don't think I've ever seen any other Force user do. I think there's even some stuff in Clone Wars where one of the Jedi gets knocked out into space, and he's able to what's the Kito Mundi? What's the guy's name?
Ki-Adi-Mundi?
He gets knocked out into space in a Clone Wars episode, and he manages to survive it, but he's severely debilitated.
I don't
after it,
that.
right? And that's the closest I've ever seen to anyone do what Leia did in that movie. She almost, I don't know if she did die, but she was basically dead.
But
so what I'm trying to say is that she did all that, and she never got trained. She never used the Force. She never even knew it. And that's it's almost like she did it. She didn't even actively do it on her own.
Oh yeah,
she just
I agree.
Innately has this.
Yeah.
Has so much Force in her that she could do something so crazy like that. That I feel to me that showed that she had this potential, and because she had that potential, even though she never cultivated it like the other characters, it shows that little kid at the end also has the potential. He also could be like that.
I see what you're saying, and I think it's less about showing her strength compared to others, and more that's just another example of this movie showing more that you can do with the Force. Because even Luke says that the Force is more than just, like you mentioned earlier, floating rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
There are a lot of displays of the use of the Force in this movie that we've never seen in any other Star Wars movie. Because in any other Star Wars movie, it's typically Force pushes, Force pulls, chokes, lightning, and some mind control stuff. In this one, Snoke is bouncing lightning off the ground or having it come up from the ground.
He's made people see things.
And
the whole conversations between Rey and Kylo, that's never been done before.
He was able to connect their minds, whether he truly did that or he just took credit for it. Yeah. Because I mean,
he really did it though.
Because I mean, like, I have a feeling that there's more of a connection. I think it ties into the fact that Rey is a clone of Kylo's grandfather that has that strong mental connection for them. But
I thought clones weren't force adept though.
I think that they found a way to make it happen.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think Snoke might be a failed experiment of that. That's just my personal opinion, my personal theory, and which is why he looks so fucked up.
Yeah.
Or maybe because, like you said, like maybe somebody finds part of his body and helps him regenerate. Like the reason why he looks so fucked up is that maybe unlike Palpatine, who had just a bunch of different clones, he actually had to regenerate from whatever was left over from him. So maybe he was
killed a bunch of times before or something like that.
Yeah. And which could explain why his face is all jacked up and like he's limping and shit like that. But even when Rey, tosses Luke and he's like falling down, he uses the Force to brace himself and then like stop back. He uses the Force to he actually breaks the connection between at least in that moment between Rey and Ben, and then he blows up the fucking the little hut that they're in. Obviously, the Force astral projection, just the way that Luke was moving with that astral projection. I don't know if he was physically there, maybe he was able to use the Force to spin around and duck and do that sort of stuff. But it's like there's a lot of examples of uses of the Force that, like I said, we've never seen in any of the movie, and that's another thing that really makes me appreciate this movie much more than the others.
And it's funny because even at the end when he was like floating like the Buddha, I just thought it was awesome. Like it was just a really cool way to like finish. People didn't like the fact that he died and all. I thought it was great.
No, I thought it was good.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. I mean, they alluded to it. I know it was going to happen. I thought they did a really good job about it.
Yeah, like if he's going to die, like I would much rather have that be the way that he dies than like getting slain by Kylo.
Yeah,
because we saw that happen with Han, and like to me that was kind of anticlimactic.
No,
it's like
I actually liked it. I thought it was great.
He died exactly the way that Ben died. He just disappeared. Like I mean, like that was I thought that was amazing.
I thought it was great, and
I thought it was great.
To me, it proved that Luke is the most powerful Force user that we've ever seen in any of the movies.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously there's probably some others that are like in the comics and like books and stuff like that, like old Sith guys, but in the movies, he did things that no one else did, and I actually don't think Anakin was capable of doing what he did because Anakin could have never calmed his mind enough to pull that off.
Well, and that and the Force is a very natural thing, and the fact that Anakin was mostly machine than man, I think, really hindered his ability, which is, I think, another reason why the Emperor was so disappointed in Darth Vader, and at every turn was trying to kill off his apprentice, but Vader just found a way to survive until finally fucking homie threw the turn of the tables.
That's right.
Do that fucker down a shaft.
Okay, so let's finish this one off with me asking you guys, now that episode 8's in the books, let's see where we rank episode 8 in terms of all the Star Wars films. And so that I would have to say, do you want to include Rogue One or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let's include Rogue One. So that means we have 9 total films to rank. So I know it's kind of on the spot here, but let's see if we can rank them in some way. So let's start off with.
Are we doing individuals or like Let's
do individuals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So like. Let's
start off with your shittiest movie.
This is like your personal least favorite, right? Not like subjective, like
your personal. Yeah,
least favorite. This is not very well made. This is bad storytelling.
No, this is your personal least favorite.
I think you can just say. I think that we can just say which one we like the most.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna start with the.
If we had to make a ranking, let's just make a ranking.
Right, so
like which one?
For me, it's gonna be my personal worst. Like my feelings about the movie.
That's fine.
I think that's fine. It's your list. It's your list.
Yeah, it's your. So I'll go our worst and then our stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So we start from the bottom, then we're here.
I'll write it. I'll keep tabs on what you guys say so that you can remember if you want to call back to it.
For me, it's Phantom Menace, hands down.
Yeah, Phantom Menace.
Okay.
The worst.
Why don't you, Clint?
I think it's also Phantom Menace. So okay. So we have Phantom Menace as the worst Star Wars. You know, the thing that sucks though is that Darth Maul is fucking dope in that movie.
It had some really good stuff.
And so was Qui-Gon Jinn. I loved Qui-Gon Jinn. He was awesome. Obviously,
the pod race was dope.
Yeah, it was, but just hands down, just what they added to the story was just so terrible.
They should bring Liam Neeson back for fucking for the last movie.
They brought him back in Clone Wars.
By the way, Dooku was his master.
Oh, he was.
He was.
Yeah, he is.
He's his master.
All right, so my second worst. It would have to.
This is ninth place. This is eighth place.
Eighth place. I like Clone Wars because you know what? I'd have to put Clone Wars because
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
Attack of the Clones. Which it had to be Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones has Grievous or it doesn't?
No. Grievous comes in Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, yeah. I think out of those, I think that I like that one the most. So what about you?
Attack of the Clones. Which ironically is the one movie I've seen most in the theater.
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
But it was only because Natalie Portman has the hard nip scene.
Yeah.
And that movie came out when I was a very lonely and horny boy.
Yes, we were very young then.
I think I might have to agree.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to agree with that. Yeah, I think so.
So for the 7th spot is hard because, man, I think I like Attack. What is it? Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more than New Hope. But the problem is I like the original Star Wars more than New Hope. When they changed it to New Hope, it moved down. It moved down a slot. So I would say New Hope. Not Star Wars and New Hope, but not original Star Wars, but Star Wars and New Hope.
Gotcha.
How about you?
I don't want this to sound like a negative and have it be a negative view on the movie because as I get older and watching it in context with The Last Jedi, I appreciate it more, but I'd have to put Return of the Jedi on there.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
So yours was which one?
Episode 4.
4. Okay.
New Hope.
And yours was Return of the Jedi? I think mine's Rogue One. My next one is Rogue One. The more I think about that movie and the more it ages, the more poorly I think it ages because I don't like it as much as the other ones. And really the scene in Vader's castle is fucking horrible. But the scene at the end with Vader is like maybe the best Vader scene ever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yours is
I just don't.
Your 7 spots.
I don't like the main character. I think that's maybe probably what it is.
Mine's my 6th one's Return of the Jedi.
Okay. What about you, Devo?
My 6 is Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, the 3rd one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Is that's my next one. What about you, Guch?
I would put what was episode 7 again? That was
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Okay.
Oh.
And I'm the same.
Really? Okay. I have Last Jedi here. I think it's really close to Return of the Jedi for me, but I think the Ewoks fucking part. There's nothing probably as bad as the Ewoks part in episode 8. I don't think. But episode 8 is like in the lower part for me, of course, maybe. I don't know. I might have to think about that. But they're close. They're close. They're really close.
So this is our number 4?
Mm-hmm.
Attack of the Clone. Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. So you have Revenge of the Sith.
I actually like that. I like that film. I mean, apart from
the fucking
the ending was ridiculous, but the action, the way that stuff is done, I liked how they actually portrayed Darth Vader's
his turn. I actually thought
his nuggetization.
that shit still gets me to this day. I'm still a little fucking emotional. Devo knows what I was like when I first saw it.
Yep.
Yeah, so
I actually think if that movie, if that movie resulted, she died because he actually choked her.
Yeah,
and she got her larynx crushed or some shit like that, and that's why she died. I think that movie actually would maybe go close to the top for me.
Yeah,
that movie is so good.
It makes Anakin that much darker.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I know why they didn't do it, but fuck, they should have just done it.
How about you, Devo? Your 4th.
4th. I forgot where I'm at now.
You just picked Force Awakens.
Yeah. I don't have A New Hope on there, do I?
No, you don't.
All right, because that's where this goes.
Okay. So for me, I also have A New Hope right there.
Okay.
And then so Guch.
This is 3rd. What do we have left? We have Empire, we have Rogue One, and we have Last Jedi.
Yep.
Last Jedi.
Okay. Damn, it's pretty high for you.
What? Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Empire.
Okay. Hold on. That means you have Empire at 3?
Yeah.
Shit.
Below 2 movies that I have not even mentioned yet, and that noise that you just made sound like you were vomiting inside your mouth. And my next 2 choices are we're gonna make that vomit actually come out. So, you better puke in that glass right there.
Okay, so actually, I like Force Awakens better than New Hope. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's more. They're almost the same movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I just think Force Awakens is more modern, and it seems like more rewatchable now as just a movie alongside other movies that you watch now.
Right.
Whereas like Episode 4, it feels dated. It's still awesome. It just feels a little bit more dated. Plus, it's got a brother in the main.
Yeah.
Come
on.
on.
Of course.
It's
supposed to racist, dude.
Yeah.
I like Han though in the movie. He's fucking awesome in the movie.
Black actors, guys.
Poe Dameron's
racist.
awesome. I just like that movie a lot.
Racist.
Not to mention, like I didn't know what to expect when I first saw it, and it was just even better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know, so
this next my number 2 actually goes into back to what I mentioned with New Hope. I would have put the original Star Wars and this one maybe 2, 3, and 2 if it wouldn't have been New Hope. But Rogue One is number 2, just because it just at the end it kind of felt like I was watching Star Wars, not A New Hope back in the day.
Yeah,
so, they put all the extra old school cuts into it. I thought that was amazing. Amazing use of film. To be honest with you, so Rogue One's my number 2. My
number 2 is The Last Jedi.
Wow, that's lofty. Fuck. My number 2 is Revenge of the Sith. That shit just, I mean, the fight on Mustafar.
That's good.
The nuggetization of Anakin.
I think the fight on Mustafar, for me personally, is my second favorite lightsaber battle outside of this one in The Last Jedi.
Which one in The Last Jedi?
With Rey and Kylo when they're taking down the Praetorian Guards. Because there's so much in that fight that I've never seen a lightsaber do.
I still think the Yoda versus fucking
That's garbage.
Dooku one blew my mind. Just because I didn't think Yoda could do that.
It was, yes.
You know what I mean?
Because he went from I'm an old man hobbling around to now I'm just a fucking fireball of just lightsaber attacks.
Yeah. I think in the moment when I first saw that, I was most shocked than any lightsaber duel I've seen before or after, because I just didn't think he could do that.
Yeah.
We'd never seen it before. You know what I mean?
I liked how emotional the one in Revenge of the Sith was. Yeah. Because you got these 2 brothers that are like Anakin's legit trying to kill Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's he's not trying to.
I like that.
He's not. I don't think he's trying to kill Anakin, even though he's supposed to kill Anakin. He's I think he's trying to honestly save him, but it's to me, and just all the moves and stuff that they do in it, plus the emotion.
It was fucking great.
They were doing a lot of crazy.
The thing would be higher on my list just because I really hate the end. It's just really terrible. It kneecaps it so much for me.
You could really see the anguish on Obi-Wan's face.
Well, because he's an actor.
He had to do that.
That's why he's an actor.
No, but I mean, you really you could tell how that literally
feel
changed.
The pain.
Yeah, that changed his character forever.
Yeah,
the trajectory of his character arc, Obi-Wan's, was completely changed. And I really hope if they make an Obi-Wan movie that they really concentrate on this idea that he had to do that to Anakin. Yeah, it's like he's having flashbacks about it, and it has traumatic experience about it. If they just don't talk about it at all, I'm gonna be really upset.
Well, they're gonna have to explain how he goes from a 30-something or 40-something man to a decrepit old hermit in 18 years.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to explain it.
Well, I hope they
somehow
do.
Because literally that's what happens. So I'm hoping he goes through some.
Well, I mean, he was supposed to be 40 or something.
Yeah, but he goes from 40 to some decrepit old fool.
Well, he's 60. I mean, I know Alec Guinness is older, but I'm just saying, I get it.
He's
decrepit. He's going from Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness,
and that's the thing.
Well, I think that he has to have some premature aging thing. Something has to happen.
He's going to happen because, I mean... anyways, yes.
Yeah.
Either way.
So my number 1 obvious is Empire Strikes Back. And I don't care what people say. My emotion connection to Empire is the better one. So I love Empire.
Yeah.
I actually... go ahead.
And I don't care what people say. Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars movie.
I can say Rogue One's good.
So mine's obviously Empire because it's just the most iconic scene in sci-fi movie history is in that movie. And I think the thing I like about Star Wars, the Empire, so much is
you're talking about the one where the black guy's about to punch the white guy.
Or are you talking about when the black guy
betrays the white guy?
Yeah, that's not real, by the way. It's the white people that always betray the black people. But, so it's really unrealistic. But
well, this was a long time ago, so
this is how things were in the 80s, by the way.
The thing I like is it takes you to so many different places. It takes you to Hoth, it takes you to Dagobah, it takes you to Bespin, it takes you to like just all these fucking places that like at the time nobody ever thought could ever exist in one movie.
And they're I feel like they're solid like foundational places, and they mean something to the story. That was one of my gripes about Rogue One, is that in the first like 15 minutes you go to like 5 different places, but like some of them you only see for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Or for like a minute or two.
Yeah, I'm like, why are we here?
Yeah. It's like you know, like you're on Hoth for maybe like 20 minutes, but like you know that the rebels have been there for a while, and like that was their base, and then you get this amazing snow battle that happens on there, and then they bounce. Like it has a purpose, and it has a lot of meaning to the story.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that happens in Rogue One. And one thing that disappoints me about Rogue One is that when they go to Mustafar, they don't say Mustafar.
Yeah, why don't they say it?
Because the idea is that you're not supposed to know that Krennic's going to go see Darth Vader.
I mean, come on. It's just...
This
but you know, the other, you know, it's a great movie. Obviously, I think it's universally thought of as the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good things in all the movies, and just it's hard to you're pulling hairs and shit here. You know what I mean?
Very few things. Very few things that are good in Phantom Menace.
But Empire, like they hit a lot of the marks that you want a movie to hit, right?
Yeah.
And like even if you see some of the interviews with the Irvin Kershner, and he's like, we've got comedy without telling jokes. We've got romance without kissy stuff.
Yeah.
It's like he's able to hit a lot of the foundations that you have in a really good movie without making it so obvious, so in your face. Where like, you know, things like The Last Jedi fail because you've got these humorous parts, but they're jokey. You know, if you make them the subtle Star Wars, you know, just a natural flow, then it's not a problem. But if you're trying to, you know, have Poe be a comedian, then it doesn't
feel organic.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you guys this question, and I think that maybe you'll see, like, you know, in all the Star Wars movie, there's this idea that like there's multiple worlds, and that you're going to go to multiple worlds, and you're going to see like a desert planet, a ice planet, a forest planet, or you know, or you're going to go to some planet that's like super urbanized, and you're going to see all these various different things, and it's going to take you on a journey, right? And I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I feel like in Last Jedi, it was very contained. It was like they had this battle, then they went in hyperdrive, but because they went in hyperdrive and they're going to get things, they were like stuck. And so a lot of the movie took place in this space between the Star Destroyer and that planet. And they went off and did a couple things. Obviously, they went to the planet.
Canto Bight.
But like it seemed odd that a Star Wars movie was confined like that, right? Didn't it to me? And I was thinking to myself, like, they have the whole galaxy, but this whole movie, not only is it taking place like literally right after the 7th movie, which is also unorthodox, but it actually is like confined to this one spot because of this like plot mechanism, essentially, right? Because of this idea that they tracked it, which seemed weird to me, that they introduced the mechanism in a movie that was like 30 years before, so it like somehow took 30 years for them to figure it out. I guess
it takes a lot of time to work out on technology, and we don't know if
they made two Star Destroyers during that time. I mean, two Death Stars during that time, but
which again took 30 years to build because they started building it during Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it's a full planet. It's not just like one bit of technology, I guess.
Well, we don't know how easy that technology
it just seems
is.
convenient.
And we also don't know where they were in production. Like maybe like the plans that they talk about in Rogue One were just an idea. Like some dude's like, here's an idea I have, and wrote on some scratch paper, and they put it in the fucking vault.
Yep.
And then like at some point they're like, well, now we don't have any more super Star Destroyers. Let's work on some other technology that we can use.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just saying it just seemed convenient. Too convenient. Like, it would be cool if that was something that had been mentioned in episode 4, 5, or 6, and then they put it in the movie. But it's like, obviously you can't go back and put in episode 4, 5, 6 because they hadn't thought of it then, right? But then they put it in this movie that took place before all the other ones.
You put it in 3.9.
Yeah, but
to be honest, I'm going with you. I just figured that it was a project that never got finished.
Yeah, but it's a project that you can tell that they took and inserted into the Star Wars story.
Well, the problem is if you're being too picky,
retconned it into the Star Wars story later after Lucas.
The problem
Lucas
is
sold the
at
thing.
that point you're being too picky about this stuff.
I'm saying like if you watch the movies straight through, that's gonna be weird, right?
I understand that.
That's all I'm saying. It's gonna be weird.
But you got to take a little leap of faith.
But and another thing too is
I took a leap of faith on a bunch of shit. But come on.
But like for me, like I never it never dawned on me that like as she's going through these things, like I never picked up on the fact that she mentions hyperspace tracking, and then I never connected it to that in this movie until I saw it on a blog somewhere. Yeah. And I've seen Rogue One at least fucking 20 times. And like I've paid more attention to like Darksaber because Darksaber is actually in the Clone Wars cartoons and stuff like that. But like it's I don't think that it's being, retconned or like shoehorned or just being used as a, plot device, because it's like, it's something that was kind of there, and maybe Rian Johnson was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. How can we use that? But I don't know.
I don't think, I think
it's no worse than Starkiller Base.
Yeah, I agree. I think Starkiller Base was worse.
You got a bigger Death Star, okay.
Yeah, I thought
and your laser blast can travel through hyperspace, okay.
I thought that was worse, to be honest. I thought that was a lot. I'm like, cool, Starkiller Base. I'm like, so it's just a planet Death Star now, not a real Death Star. I'm like, and again, I even took another leap of faith. I was like, okay, here's another project that the Empire never finished that Snoke took up.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. That's the only possibility that they could have done that. So, and I took a leap of faith, and I like Star Wars, so I go with the flow. That's how I view it.
Yeah. Okay.
And Star Wars is less scientific about that sort of stuff than Star Trek is.
Oh, yeah.
Star Trek, you'll get an explanation about everything. They'll talk about the quantum processors and that aim the dilithium crystals to achieve this sort of thing. Star Wars just says, oh, hey, we figured out how to do this, so we're going to do it. I
think that's true, and I think they generally over the course of the movies have found the perfect perfect space of technicality and fantasy, where they've sort of said yes, this is in the movie, and no, it's not explained, but it's reasonable. You know what I mean? But we're not going to explain it because then we would get too quantum physics and bullshit that people really don't care about when they're watching Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And I get that they've done that. You know what I mean? But I feel in some cases in these most recent movies, they've kind of taken it too far in a little bit, just slightly too far, where it almost seems unbelievable to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or it seems too convenient.
And they do some things right, but look at a New Hope, right? When they're trying to leave Mos Eisley, and Luke's like, why don't you just jump to light speed? And Han's like, well, we got to put all the precise coordinates in our nav computer. Or we're going to fly right in this, fly right in that. You don't get the brevity of that until you see The Last Jedi, when what's her face goes through light, it goes into light speed right through Snoke's ship. Then you get to see what really happens if they don't actually calculate where they're going and they just happen to jump into light speed. You go through shit.
But I'm saying
that's awesome.
In the original movies, they actually gave you a little bit of that, right? And in these new movies, they don't give you any of that shit, right?
For the most part. I'm trying to think of other things where it's they try to explain something, or this is what's happening, and they don't explain what'll happen.
Either way, I think it.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I guess. I think there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. I forgot it though.
Oh. That's right. Well, if you remember, then mark it down. We'll have another episode about that.
Yeah. It's gonna bother me because I can't remember it. I'll remember it after we're done. Fucking these guys, but it won't matter then. But either way. So that's Star Wars Episode 9.
Episode 8.
Episode 8.
8. Fuck, I wish it was Episode 9 already. God damn it.
Coming soon.
But yeah, it'll be coming soon.
Before we go,
what is up?
What are your expectations for Solo?
Not high. My uncle worked on that movie. It's a terrible production, apparently. I hear.
Wow.
Does he know who the villain is?
No, he didn't. I didn't ask him anything like that. He probably does, but I didn't ask anything like that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not checking much.
If you look it up, it's actually categorized as a Western.
I've heard it's supposed to have a Western feel about it.
Yeah, so
but
that's interesting.
But looking at the Millennium Falcon and I'm assuming Donald Glover is going to be amazing, but just the way that Lando looks directors, in this, that's going to be rough. Apparently
the main actor had some problems getting the performance right, so they had to reshoot shit because he couldn't really get it right. So I'm worried that we have another a Hayden Christensen type thing on our hands where you're gosh, this guy looks the part, but he just can't get the fucking kids. I'm not believing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm hoping Ron Howard was able to turn a lot of that stuff around, but
yep.
I don't know. We'll see. This is probably the first time in a long time where I'm not really excited for a Star Wars movie.
And we should be, because it's Han.
It's Han Solo.
Yeah.
You know
but it's just everything that's you say, that's around the production.
Everything, and when you said that, it's true. They have to make it perfect, or at least because it is Han.
And that's the
thing. So I mean, there's this huge expectation for it.
You start off with Rogue One,
I honestly I didn't expect much from Rogue One. I was extremely surprised and extremely pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and I think Rogue One,
left that bar really high.
Yeah, and they could have completely fucked up Rogue One, and they would have been just well, it wasn't It was just a story.
They didn't fuck it up. I'm not saying it's not that high on my list, but they definitely didn't fuck it up.
Right, but
and they kept like the analog nature of the original trilogy.
That was
super important. To me.
That is one reason why I love the movie so much. But like what I'm saying is that they could have fucked it up, and it's just like, well, all right, well, it wasn't part of our trilogy, so it's fine. But now you've got somebody from the trilogy, and you've got one of the most loved characters ever who just died in one of the recent movies. And so now people are going to be like, we're finally getting Han back. They've got to hit a home run with this. If not, then like it's obviously not going to affect Disney and all that too much, because they're just going to keep going with the money train, and it's going to make a lot of money. And like like you were saying about the movie theater stuff off show, like because they charge more, this movie made over $1 billion. It might not have had more ticket sales in movies in the past, but because movie tickets don't cost $2 anymore. They cost $15. $20
for IMAX and shit.
Yeah,
like that.
so it's like you're gonna make a whole lot more money just due to inflation. But
not expecting much for it. I'm not expecting much. I'll watch it.
I think the thing,
because I'm a sucker.
Here's the problem with the
Star
movie.
Wars. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it.
Here's the thing with that movie is that the movie itself has to be fun, like an Indiana Jones type fun movie where it has like all these things that happen. And I think people will probably criticize the lead actor probably because he probably won't put through a performance that's as good as fucking Harrison Ford. But I mean, who really could? There's very few people that probably could do that same. Because even though it's not Harrison Ford, you need that type of charisma. You need that type of like that speech, that sort of the way he thinks, the way he, maybe it's not going to be the same, but you need to see like bits and pieces of it, like the precursor of who he, like how you can see little pieces of how he would become the Harrison Ford character that we know. And if he doesn't do that, people are going to criticize it. But I think people would still have fun with the movie if the movie does the types of things that you want to do, especially if it's a Western type thing where I'm assuming it's going to be a thing where it takes place on like, we go to a couple different planets, but most of it's going to be on a planet. Yeah. And like a smaller situation where he gets into some situation that he has to get himself out of. Like a Western. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where it's contained like that. I'm thinking like that. I did remember the question I had. And it was another little complaint that I had about Last Jedi before we go. Another little whatever, just thing. Remember when you were talked about how Holdo ran the ship into the other ship? Yeah. It was fucking badass.
Yeah, it was tight.
That ship was, people have complained about it. I thought it was fucking dope.
I thought it was
right. Good. But explain to me, and I get why they did it in the terms of the story, because like she had to like prove that she could sacrifice herself and that she wasn't a traitor and that she was doing everything for the right reasons.
Okay.
But like, let me get this straight. You guys have like lightsabers and laser guns and fucking spaceships and shit like that and fucking Star Destroyers and shooting fucking lasers through the fucking planet destroying lasers through fucking hyperspace and shit. And you can't just like remotely pilot the ship. Because they specifically said, well, one person has to stay behind. Okay, really? This is my problem with like Interstellar, where they're like, we have to go to the planet, and if we go on the planet, then like every minute we're there, that's like 10 years, and it's like, why don't you just look at the fucking planet?
Now, I don't know if there's any basis to this. This is just my my thought and my theories, and I think only smaller ships have autopilot. Larger like capital ships, like what she was on, and like cruisers, or like even the giant cruiser that was chasing them, can't have autopilot for whatever reason. I don't know. But you think about it, like what ship in Star Wars has an autopilot?
True.
I'm just thinking.
Name one.
Well, I mean, the droids piloted it. The droids can pilot it to ships too.
Yeah, that's true. There was droids on there. I don't know why
but then
and then the other thing too is that even if the capability is not like defaultly built in, they have people that can probably hack it to do it. Rather than this lady losing her fucking life.
Right.
It makes, you know, I get why they did it in the context of the plot. It's just like the reason why is like, ugh. Like if they made it where like, oh, she has to stay on the ship because like if one person's on the ship that has like a life form like reading, then they would like know that, or some bullshit like whatever you come up with. But just to say like they don't have autopilot, I'm like, we fucking have autopilot on cars right now. Why would we have it on a fucking spaceship? Well, and in fact, autopilot is probably more reliable than people, just in general. Well, computers running it is more reliable than people.
But that's not the problem. The problem was that the First Order found the escape pods and started attacking the escape pods. You get a robot or autopilot on there, then the shit's just going to keep flying the ship while the people are getting picked off one by one. The only reason why the Resistance survived is because they had a human on board that made the human decision to hyperspeed into these ships.
I don't know. I don't.
Even if you have a droid on there that's piloting the ship, the droid's not going to make the decision to save these humans and go hyperspace into the thing. Even if you can find a way to remotely hack it or remote into it from fucking, your FTP server on one of the escape pods.
Hey man,
they don't have the internet. Damn it!
I agree with you in your logic, Clint, but. Since
I know it's too much, I'm just saying.
Again, it's a movie and it's pretty logical already.
I know.
And we're talking about space travel and lasers and Ewoks and Jawas in the forest.
And like ships don't. I don't think they have autopilot on all the ships, because you think about the ships that have any sort of control without humans. There's a droid on board.
Yeah.
Like the Jedi starfighters and the X-wings and the Y-wings.
X-wings for sure. Yeah.
They could tell the Poe Dameron's telling BB-8 get the ship ready. Like BB-8 can control the ship. Yeah. But BB-8's probably not going to make the decision like, oh, I got to save Poe. Let me sacrifice myself. He's just going to be like, oh, well.
I mean, you could tell him. I'm pretty sure he would do it.
See ya. Well, I don't know.
It's just a little thing. Whatever. Just bothers me. Just still little things. But either way, still a good movie.
Yeah, it was
still
good.
A good movie. That's the thing with Rogue One. Like, Rogue One actually is a better movie than I actually like it. Like, I just don't like the movie that much, but it actually is, like, just in terms of a film, it's one of the best Star Wars films, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of technicality and the way it looks and the cinematography, the acting, everything.
Yeah.
I just don't like it as much as some of the other ones. So that's the big thing. Especially the scene where, like, she first tells Forrest Whitaker that she's like, and he gets this look like, you betrayed me. Like, what? What? It's just fucking classic.
Yeah, he's whacked out.
Awesome in that movie.
It was nuts.
And they actually exploit his character a little bit more in the Clone Wars or in Rebels.
Yeah. It's ending, by the way, right?
Yeah. This is the last season. Oh. Yeah.
So be it.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I just know that Chopper and Syndulla survive because they're in Rogue One.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.